Irene and her family came from Cuba to the United States for new opportunities. But when she came, she was going to a new school, high school to be exact, having to learn a new language in a new country. And it was hard. Today I'll be discussing Proposition 58, which is basically bilingual education. You should listen to me because this is going to help students in the long run. And also, I have personal experience with this because I was friends with Irene and I saw what she had to go through. Today we'll be discussing the origins of Proposition 58, what actually is Proposition 58, and also what schools have attempted it and what happened to those schools. So let's go ahead and talk about the origin of Proposition 58. So Proposition 58 is the repeal of Proposition 227. So basically Proposition 227 was started by a man named Ron Unz, and he decided that he wanted to ban bilingual education in all of California. So instead of teaching these students in their native languages, he went ahead and decided that they're only going to be put into English-only classes or only going to be put into these classes for a certain amount of time. Now because of this, these students were having a hard time learning and weren't able to improve that well. Elizabeth T. Bangs, who is an assistant dean to the Student Affairs for the University of Texas School of Law, Berkeley La Raza Law Journal 2000, actually says that bilingual education was an experiment that started in Florida, but because it did so well, other schools across the country decided to go ahead and put it into their systems. Thus showing that it does actually improve schools and students in their English. So now that we talked about the origin of Proposition 58, let's go ahead and discuss what actually is Proposition 58. So like stated before, Proposition 58 is the repeal of 227. And basically what's going to be doing is giving parents more freedom on how they want their students to learn English, or their child to learn English. They can either say if they even want their child to be put into these classes, or how long they want their child to be put into these classes. Not only this, but Elizabeth T. Bangs previously stated, or previously qualified, actually does talk about how 227 actually takes away the 14th Amendment to these students. So by having Proposition 58, it's going to go ahead and give them the 14th Amendment, which provides them with equal opportunities. So also we have Ingrid Christoffels, who is a professor and researcher for the University of Leiden in the Netherlands. Psychological Research 2015 actually did a study in the Netherlands on a group of high school students who were learning English. She actually called this the flexible mind theory because you're actually going to go ahead and comprehend everything and interpret it into your own language. This made learning English a lot easier for them and helped them a lot. So now that we discussed that, we're going to go ahead and discuss the different schools that have attempted this and what happened to the schools. So Ingrid Christoffels, previously qualified, actually did do this research in the Netherlands, and their test scores ended up going up really high. Not only were they able to learn English, but they're also able to go ahead and learn Dutch and actually speak it better than previously. Then you have Dylan Conger, who is a professor and researcher focusing on education from the Science Social Quarterly, 2010, actually did a little research on how a Puerto Rican community in New York actually sued the New York Department of Education. The reason for this was because they didn't have bilingual education for their students. So they went ahead, they sued them, and they won the suit. And they added bilingual education to the schools. But this didn't actually help out everybody. This mainly helped out the Puerto Rican community. So most people were kind of upset because they wanted other languages involved in this as well. But hopefully later on they can go ahead and add other languages into the mix. Now going back to the Netherlands, they only taught them English, but again, there's other languages to be teaching as well. And the flexible mind can help everybody. Being able to comprehend everything, being able to just kind of learn English, learn any language in general. So now that we talked about that, we talked about Proposition 58 today. We discussed the origin of Proposition 58, what actually is Proposition 58, and discuss what schools have attempted Proposition 58 and what happened to those schools. And with Irene, she actually did graduate high school last year, and actually do talk to her. And she still is somewhat struggling with English, but hopefully with Proposition 58 we'll be able to help students like Irene. Thank you.